What's going on, everybody? This is Brian Mazique, aka Unique Mazique, and it is my pleasure to talk to UFC Hall of Famer and pioneer of the sport of MMA, Clay Guida. How you doing today, Clay?
I'm doing very well, Brian. Thanks for having me on the show. That's an awesome nickname you got, man. And yeah, it's great to be back here in Chicago, man, and in the Midwest, early winter. And
Yes,
man,
sir.
yeah, thank you again, guys, for having me on the show. This is a pleasure. It's an honor.
Yes, sir. We were just talking before we started the interview. We're brothers of the same struggle. I'm a Chicago native, and I saw the Bears thing in the background. I was like, oh yeah, we couldn't let this go without talking about first place Chicago Bears. We had to do it.
There we go. Absolutely, man. Yeah, I've been to a few games this year. I was at the opener that they blew.
Me too. I was there too.
Okay. game they gave away. I was at the road game against the Ravens, team they should have won without Lamar Jackson.
Yes.
They gave that game away, and then I was there not this past week, the week before when when they finally were victorious. So
yes. Yeah. So I gotta say, like, obviously Saturday you have a wrestling match with RAF, Real American Freestyle. You're taking on Caden Henschel. Tell me, and I spoke to Chad Mendes earlier, and also spoke to Michael Chandler right before you, and I asked them the same question, and I'm gonna ask you, why RAF at this point in your career, and what was intriguing about wrestling Caden Henschel?
Man, that's a great question. A lot of people are wondering that. A lot of people ask that, and you know what? I'm not sure what Chad Mendes said or Michael Chandler. This is something I think I know for myself, and I think I can speak behalf on former wrestlers, tournament fighters. This is something we always wanted to do when we were kids. It was something that we did for free when we were young. It was something that we paid to do when we were young because there was entry fees, $15, $20 entry fees when you were wrestling when we were kids. By our parents would pay for it usually, Yeah. So it was something that was, I think, started as almost a dream, and now it's a reality with RAF. They've made a platform. They've created an organization for the greatest sport out there in wrestling, that we eat, sleep, and breathe wrestling, which turned into mixed martial arts in the UFC and a long, illustrious career, in the UFC. So to be able to, give back to the sport, which has given me so much, and B, go out there and compete in, the sport of wrestling and still put the shoes on, at my age, I'm excited to do it, man. I jumped at the opportunity.
Yeah, it's interesting. I was telling both Chad and Michael that I hadn't been really paying a lot of attention to freestyle wrestling. I am a lifer from a MMA standpoint. I got into UFC 1. I started very 1, and then that had me going back watching Pride. And I'm a lifer from a boxing standpoint, but I hadn't ever really paid a lot of attention to Real American, to actually freestyle wrestling. So I asked them this question. There's things that you notice about a boxer and you're like, oh man, he's quick, or he's got pop. Or then there's things you notice about a mixed martial artist. It's like, I mean, he has great grappling, great submissions. He's got great stand-up. What are the traits, if you're getting into freestyle wrestling, that when you look at it, you're like, okay, that guy or girl is this or has this? What are those things for people who are kind of like getting edutained on freestyle wrestling?
Okay, that's a great question. So it's a lot different from maybe what people in the States are used to seeing, like seeing high school and collegiate wrestling, which is folk style. The international style, the Olympic style, is called freestyle. And so we don't practice that. We don't train that, or compete like that, until, probably, junior high school, a lot of those guys, but because we're training in folk style, wrestling, which goes, through college, things like that. And then, these guys go and compete on the senior level, and they can compete in, overseas in the world championships, hopefully in the Olympics. So it's still relatively new to a lot of fans of wrestling that haven't really seen freestyle. I think it's super exciting. It's more exciting than folk style. There's a lot of high flying throws, big takedowns, a fast pace. They can rack up a lot of points. It's just super action packed, and I think it's more pleasant to watch, for new fans and for fans that are really, big fans, to watch this style of wrestling as opposed to, your traditional collegiate folk style. So I guess for the fan at home that doesn't know what RAF stands for, Real American Freestyle, we could tell them tune in next Saturday night, November 29th in Fox Nation. It's gonna be fireworks out there.
Yeah, I think I was telling someone else earlier today. And I always just be honest. This is the first event, freestyle wrestling event, that has really, for whatever reason, grabbed my attention. I'm looking forward to it. I want to watch it, because before, I think I'm just like a lot of American combat sports fans. The absence of the striking was something that was like, man, I don't know where my hook is. But for whatever reason, for this one, I am interested. So I'm actually really looking forward to it. I think you're one of the great names that are included here. But I want to ask you a couple MMA questions. Obviously, your career, the length of it is unbelievable. I mean, it is like to have, I think, is it 63 pro MMA fights?
I think so, man. I stopped counting and pay attention a long time ago. I heard someone told me it was like, yeah, I think maybe 65 pro fights, depending on what records they're looking at and what source. So we're right up there, over 60 for sure.
That is unbelievable. So can you tell me what moment in the UFC's octagon do you, and I know obviously your career goes before the UFC, but what moment in the octagon is the most memorable to you, and why?
Man, that's a tough one to answer, because we were the longest tenured athlete in the UFC. We did 19 years with the UFC, and to be able to pick just one is very tough. I'll give you a quick three rundown. Starting with the UFC, man, our UFC debut, October 14th, 2006, UFC 64. We were the second fight of the night. The arena was pretty close to empty, but you know what we had there? We had our family. My parents were there. My family was there. My coaches, they were in my corner. We had teammates in the crowd. We had our friends and family in the crowd. And you know what? Sometimes that's all it takes. It's all you need, And we had a bunch of random fans there that were cheering, and we're super grateful for that. You know what? We went out there, and I almost got my arm broken earlier in the first round. Yeah, he had me in an arm bar. I somehow got out of it, and we got to the second round, and I just took him down. Put the heat on him and broke him, and he gave up his back. We choked him out. We got submission of the night. We got a bonus of the night, and I was victorious in our UFC debut.
That's a Justin James fight, right?
Justin James, correct. Yep. So we were super blessed to be able to do that in Las Vegas, the home of the UFC, the undercard on a big card with Anderson Silva and Rich Franklin. It was kind of the changing of the guard there. That's when Anderson took off and literally just went straight to the top. It was really cool to be part of that. And then, fast forwarding, people remember us from the Diego Sanchez fight. That was the kick heard around Vegas, or the kick heard around the world, depending where you were. Another one, just a banger, a historic fight, that I thank Diego for being part of, because obviously without that, we probably wouldn't have made it into the UFC Hall of Fame, and put our footprint in the mixed martial arts history forever. So I'm super grateful for that. It was an incredible fight. That little arena in Las Vegas, the Palms, the Pearl of the Palms, was one of the coolest, loudest places I've ever been to in my entire life. Man, I've been to AC/DC concerts, I've been to Metallica concerts, I've been to Rolling Stones, and I tell you what, nothing was louder than that little 2,500 person venue, man. It was unreal. We thought the place was gonna, collapse. And as a matter of fact, at our Hall of Fame, we got inducted in the Hall of Fame in 2019. Rashad Evans was up there I had just gotten done doing my Hall of Fame inductee speech. And I sat in the crowd in the first and second row with my parents. And Rashad Evans is up there on up there on the podium. And all of a sudden, the building starts shaking. It was crazy. The speakers above us started swinging. There was an earthquake that happened.
Whoa.
In that very building that we had the fight of the year. the Hall of Fame fight, and the darn building started shaking. People were running out of the building. It was the wildest thing ever. So that's kind of what it felt like that night when I fought Diego way back in 2009. And then fast forwarding 10 years, 2019, there was literally an earthquake. And I
Yeah.
remember Rashad's, he was in the middle of his speech. He was doing great. He was crushing it. And all of a sudden, he felt the thing shake. He felt the podium shake, and he does this. He let off the podium, and he was just like this. It was wild. Some of my buddies took off, seeing all these badass fighters. Their eyes were like this. And I turned around, I looked at them. I made sure everyone was okay because the speakers were above my family, these big like concert speakers. So I like grabbed my mom and dad, and it went away after a little while. And you know what? We just kept on and continued with the whole event. It was pretty wild, man.
Yeah, no, that's crazy. I saw the ceremony, but I didn't remember that part. Yeah,
it was a quick mini earthquake. It was pretty wild, man. So that's definitely, obviously, you're the start of your career. A big fight that will be recognized forever, and then getting inducted to the Hall of Fame. And there's definitely fights along the way. A lot of my fondest moments and best fights are fights I didn't get my hand raised on. Some of our best performances, but you know what? It's always about just having fun out there and putting on a show for our fans, and that's what we've been able to do over a long career.
Yeah. I think when mixed martial arts fans or combat sports fans think about you, we think about toughness, competitor, and entertainer. That's that, and long and ridiculous, unprecedented longevity. I think that's what immediately comes to mind. Also, the other thing that comes to mind is you might have arguably the most distinct look of anybody to ever compete. Like if once Clay Guida comes to the octagon, you know him, you know that guy. Like, nobody else looks like that. Nobody else looks like him.
We look like a caveman, man, with the long hair.
But it's good, though. It's good for what you do.
For sure.
It's good, man. So I got to ask, because of the longevity, because it's been so long that when you competed, you saw so many people come and go. Literally, you were a part of the UFC for more than half of the time that it's been in existence.
Wow, I never even looked at it like that.
Yeah, I think that they're like at year 35 or 36, and you were there for 19 years. That's more than, So through that time period, who do you think is the most important fighter, all things considered, through the entire time period that you were there?
Boy, that is that's a tough question. And you know what? I think, love him or hate him, what Conor McGregor has done has been monumental. It's historical what he has taken the UFC, because it was steadily on its way. It was rising, and I think he took it from, a point when he got in and just it went to the moon. I mean, what he did, it was just a huge uprising.
Yeah.
To make it really global. The GSP days, incredible. I think two guys that either do or don't get a whole lot of credit, maybe. One of the biggest rivalries of all time. Chuck Liddell and Tito Ortiz, man. Those guys, I think, are huge figures in the growth of the UFC in the early stages. Their notoriety, their rivalry, their intensity, how those guys competed, how they got the crowd involved in it, and I think that's a huge part of it. John Jones, he's the Michael Jordan of MMA. I don't know anyone that can argue that. But I'd say as one person, I gotta say Conor McGregor. I think it's hard to kind of argue that fact otherwise, whether people love him or hate him, this, that, and the other, inside, outside the octagon. But the guy put us on the map and, has done some amazing things in the sport. He won a couple of belts in dominating fashion. And, he changed the sport forever.
I mean, it's definitely 100% a sensible answer. I got two more questions I want to ask. This one, you fought, like, if you look through everybody that you fought, like, It's crazy. It's like it's a shorter list of who you didn't fight than it
Yeah.
is who you actually did.
Yep.
Who's the
Connor was on that short list, unfortunately.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that would have
Yeah.
been it would have been very like visually that would have been unbelievable. Like that would have been crazy.
For
Um,
sure.
but who's the best fighter you fought?
So when you say best fighter as who has the most accolades, or best fighter, I think, as far as like athletic wise, because
I mean,
I'll
you
answer
got in
both.
the octagon and you're going at it with this guy. You're like, God, dog, this dude
Okay.
is he's something else.
Yeah. You interviewed him earlier. I believe you met interviewed Chad Mendes as well, or
Yes,
no? Yep.
yes,
He's so it's funny. Chad and I were friends. I
hmm
watched him wrestle in college. We were friends through the UFC. I
hmm
watched him in the WEC. Then we were opponents. We fought each other, and then we became teammates. And now we're business partners, in the
Oh,
fishing,
oh,
hunting, outdoors world, man. So it's pretty wild to see how life can come full circle through an individual sport like
yeah,
wrestling that got us into mixed martial arts. Then now that we get to fish and hunt together.
yeah,
He was just one of those guys, freaky athlete, so fast, hit like a truck, like a Mack truck. He could jump out of the building. The dude shot out of a cannon. Anything I did in that fight, man, he had an answer to. He was not one step ahead of me. He was 3 steps ahead of me all the time. Anytime I would throw a big punch, he would be this far away from it, like punches that I've knocked guys down with. You know what I mean? Like he would just be that far out of the way. Anytime I would shoot a takedown, he would stuff my takedown, retake me down. So that's one of those athletes for my style that, hate to say it, 9 times or 10 times out of 10, Chad's always going to get the nod because he's just that much quicker, more explosive, stronger, faster, all around better fighter. I would have to clip him, with the punch in order to catch him. But
mhm.
it's just, yeah, one of those guys, whole other level, whole other playing field. Um, One more to that question, Bry. I would say as far as accolades, I would have to say I think BJ Penn, man, because the people call him arguably the greatest lightweight, but him and Khabib,
Yeah,
and I think Oliveira's name needed to be thrown in that hat as well. Frankie Edgar, one of my favorites. So, but as far as you look at a guy that was dominating everybody. BJ Penn went out there and wiped out the roster until Frankie Edgar came along and he was finishing everybody. So, um, yeah, we've
yeah,
kind of got the fight guys, all over in between, and
yeah.
a big variety, which is awesome.
Yeah, I think it's awesome. I would love, you mentioned Frankie Edgar. I would love, and I hope it's in the works. I would love for RAF to call Frankie Edgar. I would much prefer to
Yeah.
watch him do that than
I
bare
want to
knuckle.
wrestle. I want to wrestle Frankie. He's my boy.
Yes,
I look up to him. We're friends. You know what I mean. We love the sport of wrestling. That would be honestly the next matchup. You know what I mean. How awesome would that be? Two guys that were on a collision course in the UFC, and we just missed each other by one fight. He was always
yeah,
just a little bit out of reach. And
yeah.
so how cool would it be? Two guys, longest tenured lightweights in the UFC.
hmm
Two Hall of Famers, two guys that retired from the UFC and still have that passion to compete. I think that is an RAF banger right there, man.
I think it would be awesome, man. I think that sales absolutely sales. My
No
last
doubt.
question is
Yep.
one of the things I know that RAF wants to do, and I think it's a great idea, is bring a little bit more personality and presence and presentation to
Yep.
the sport, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, can you give me a little bit of peek behind, like, so when you guys do your mat walks, you're approaching the mat, is what kind of presentation are they going to play into who you are, Clay the Carpenter, Guida? Are they going to play into that as you go, or because I want to see, I want to see pyro and all kinds of stuff going on.
For sure, man. I tell you what, this will be my first time competing for RAF. I was at the debut RAF '01 in Cleveland in August, and it was awesome. The walkouts were great. Some of these guys were doing flips. Some of these guys, had headdresses on, different cool stuff. You know what I mean? Different intros, different walkouts. So I think that's what's going to be cool. About what RAF has to offer. You get to see the behind the scenes, the backstories, what got these guys into wrestling, what's keeping them in the sport, involved in it. So man, we'll see next Saturday. We might have a surprise for you guys. We got to kind of see, how the week goes as far as what they allow us to do. But
Yeah,
we always have an exciting walkout. We always go out there and put on a show, brother.
man, I want to see you walk out with a Chicago Bears colored singlet and a
Oh,
Chicago Bears helmet.
yeah, now we're talking,
In
man.
Chicago, your pop is gonna be insane.
Yep,
It's gonna be
especially
insane.
yeah. And then the day before they take on the Eagles too, man.
Eagles, yeah. Hopefully that'll be a win, but I
I
don't know. We'll
know,
we'll,
I
we'll be
know.
praying about that
For sure,
one. So,
for sure,
no,
man.
it's my pleasure talking to you today, Clay. It was just mad respect for your career, man. Like that level of longevity in anything, let alone fighting, is admirable. And I really appreciate your talent and appreciate all the time we got an opportunity to watch you compete.
Brian, thank you so much for all the kind words, for having me on the show. It's an honor, and I can't wait to strap on them shoes and go put on a show and get one for the Bears and the Cubbies, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I appreciate you, man. Have a good one, bro.
Take care, man.
Yes, sir.